Hello and welcome. My name is Chris Farmer. Today we're doing a tutorial for Cities Skylines. We're looking at the forestry industry. We are going to be creating a forest industry and we are going to get it to grow until we get to level 3. If you want to follow some of my future tutorials, then please do hit the like and notification bells, and please do subscribe to my channel if you want to see more. So the very first thing you have to do is look at the resources, the natural resources that are on your map. And as you can see, I've got a great big area at the top there, which is for forestry. So the section that I've got, you can see there's a little bit of fertile land, which is the kind of light green, but you can probably see there's a lot of trees in a particular area, which is the dark green. And I'm going to use the forestry industry. But first, I want to create a industry area which is not just for generic industry, but it will be marked as a forestry industry area, which means once you've made it an industrial zone, you can then allow other businesses to grow in that area. They will then use the resources that you create in the forestry area that I'm going to do shortly. So as you can see, I've created my zone. I've now added the forestry area to that zone, Strawberry Park. Nice name. And I'm just going to quickly whack in some water so that I can now make sure that that will start growing in the industry area. Now, I also now have to create a large area, another grid, although this time I'm going to just make it a big square because I'm going to grow this out over time. I'm going to create a nice big road which is quite wide because the traffic is going to be fairly heavy around this at some point. So a nice wide road ensures that traffic can move quite freely in that area. So now I'm just going to zone out. So this is slightly different. I'm using an industry zoning option. I'm going to hold the shift key down just to see if I can get that edge nice and straight. So if you hold shift and put your cursor over the road, it does try to keep it nice and straight. I'm not doing a very good job at this, I have to admit. I'm just going to fill it all out. So now I've got my industry zone. So rather than just a plain kind of zone or district, what it's known as, I have now got Kingsland. This has been made with the industry zoning. So far, it is just an industry zone and there is nothing else there, but I need to ensure that I put a forestry building in there, turn it into a forestry industry zone. But first, let's put a little road in just to hold that forestry main building. Now, I don't want to put it on the main road because I don't want to have anything really kind of stopping on these main roads. I want everything to come off of the main roads into those areas. If you do put stuff on the main road, yes, it does save a little bit of money because you're not having to build the roads, but it will cause big tailbacks because all the vehicles slow down, pull in and come back out. So you can see that I'm just about to do this now. I'm going to plop it in. Bingo. And you should now see that under the name of King Woodland is now called, is that it is a forestry area. So if you click on the name, you can see that it is creating raw forest product, and it's not doing it at the moment, but it is costing me some money. I'm going to put all the water pipes across there now, just so I don't have to bother doing it later on. I've got a reasonable amount of money for the size city that I have. So anyway, I now need to really put in some, forest fields. So I'm going to use a little road. I'm going to use the little kind of dirt track. I think that's probably the most applicable for this area. You know, it looks the best. I think it kind of would work with people having to go out and fell trees and bring them back and forth. So I think this is a really good road. Although it's not a heavy duty road, it's probably the right one to choose just for a look and feel. It's not great for traffic. So there you go, I've put it bang in the middle of a thick plush area of resource. So I'm just going to add in as many fields as I can. Turns out I need enough money to put 2 in, but you can now see I've got raw forest products are being created. There you go. And I am starting to generate something, so that's brilliant. Now, I'm going to hold my hand up. I forgot to actually zone this up for industry, so there you go. I'm popping it across. Zoning up my industry area, which is going to grow industry specific to forestry. So they're going to have things like little factories for furniture making and various other things. So yeah, that's quite interesting. See what else I've got. I can add a sawmill. This is quite handy. This turns the raw product into planed timber. So that is very handy because you can now sell that kind of manufactured item, something which has been, you know, taken the raw material and produced. Ultimately, what I want to do is I want to use that planed timber into a furniture factory, which you can do it a bit later on. And just to try to ease congestion, I'm going to put in a small log yard. So as the trees have felled, they're put into that area, and then the sawmill can pull resource from the small log yard and utilise it. However, I have noticed that in the games it always comes and says not enough raw materials, and yet the log yard is pretty full, which there must be some weird AI programming. I imagine this game to program is incredibly complicated and complex, so I'm not going to bicker about it. It's just one of those little things. But as you can see, truck went in and it's going to do some stuff, and let's have a look. I've got some activity going at the moment because I'm still on level 1. There's not really a great deal of options, but I'm going to just increase the fields, and this hopefully will create a greater yield for the raw materials, which I can then change into planed timber. And at a later date I hopefully will be able to create paper, because I think the furniture factory requires both paper and timber, or planed timber. So down the bottom right hand corner, it's looking quite busy there. I'm getting a fair amount of logs being stored in my small log yard, and the actual planed timber mill is working. So I'm just checking that the small log yard is actually in balance mode, which basically means it will import raw materials if required, and it will also export for money if it's full. Now annoyingly, here it says that there's not enough material, but shortly a load of raw material will turn up there, and yet it will still say there is not enough, but can't have everything. Let's just have a look at the drive from my forestry timber yards. Wasn't he? Ooh. I mean, they do cut you up, these old drivers, don't they? So looks like I'm going to haul my logs to the timber yard. All the other lorries, it's going to be pretty full by the looks of things. Or not. Anyway, weirdly, it still says there's not enough raw materials. That's rubbish. There is actual raw material in the small log yard right next to it, as you can see.
So you can see I'm now hitting some plain timber. I'm actually getting some stuff out. I'm still not making any money. I'm getting closer to level 2. That will unlock a few other features like other kind of other plants that can do stuff like that. I think it's called the biomass plant that I can then create paper with. Now I'm figuring I'm probably sending a lot of wood down to this area, this strawberry park, which is specialising in forestry goods. So I'm going to place a little small log yard somewhere near. I'm not going to put it on the main road because, as I said, I don't want vehicles queuing up just there. I want it to flow nicely. So I'm going to stick it at the end here, I think, on the one-way roads. So lorries are about to come and deposit. So if any factories require anything, they can use the plain timber from a local resource, that small log yard, rather than having to come or send lorries all the way to here, the small log yard actually on the forestry industry area, or even having to import it from outside. I'm going to splash a bit more cash. Let's put a few more areas in. Just got to wait for a bit of cash to come in so I can spend it all on another field of trees. Looking at King Woodland Industrial Area statistics, I can see that I'm now finally making a profit. Yes, thank you very much. I'm still only using the planed timber and the raw materials, but I do hope to have shortly, once I get to level 2, the ability to add or refine paper from those raw materials. Inside the industry zone area kind of statistics, you can click on the traffic button, which shows you where planed timber or your products are coming. So if you're importing or exporting goods, so you can see at the moment that my raw materials are going into the sort of the local small log yard, and it's also being moved out to the other industrial area, Strawberry Park, and that's quite interesting to see. And I'm not currently sending anything external, which is fine because I've got probably enough willing people purchasing my products at the moment anyway. So you can also see, I think on here, the metrics of what's going on. So there is a little orange square at the top which shows imports, and I'm not importing anything, so it's not costing me any money at the moment, which is fantastic. I'm just making profit. Perfect. So the stats on the sawmill look good. The raw forest products is plentiful. I'm producing a fair amount of planed timber, which is also excellent. At the moment it is not operational, and that's because I am running that real-time mod. Although it does show that raw forest products are dropping down and planed timber is dropping, but I guess that's because the lorries, although maybe the sawmill itself is not operational, the products are still being collected. The small log yard looks good. It's got a healthy amount of raw products there, so realistically the sawmill should just continue to work quite happily, producing plain timber. So King Woodland has now reached level 2, which is fantastic news. That means I've got a few extras that I can now place into that zone, hopefully allow me to produce paper. And there's the barracks as also, which allows me to increase my productivity by 5%. Ooh. Currently I'm making good money. So the Forestry Workers Barracks is available to me. As I said before, it gives me 5% of extra efficiency in the area. And the biomass pellet plant, whose special goods is paper. So if I have paper and planed timber, I could now start making my own furniture. So first thing is, let's go and place another road down. I'm going to put it in another area. As you can see, this area isn't highly dense with forestry. It's in my zone, which some of the features, which for some things like the barracks you have to put within the industry area. So like the refinement systems or the producers, like the biomass, I also have to put in them. Now other things like sawdust storage and the small log yard do say you can put them outside of the area, but my area is, to be quite frank, huge. I don't need to bother, so I'm just going to stick them in the area. But as I said, that area doesn't have any dense forest, so I don't really have to worry about whether or not these are in or out of that particular area. So I've decided to add the sawdust storage in. Now, whether it's the sawdust storage or the small log yard, I don't honestly believe it makes a lot of difference. I think it's more just a visual thing. It stores raw product, and then the raw product can be moved straight to the biomass milling platform. So I'm just checking it is set to balanced. I don't need to fill it, I don't need to empty it, so hopefully the raw material is going to start being dumped in there, and then the other trucks can then just move it to the biomass pallet resource. So I also want to add the forestry workers barracks. This allows me to have a production efficiency of an extra 5% for every barrack that I put into the area, and I can go up to a maximum of 100% efficiency. So I'm going to stick that over here. Again, it has to be within the industry area. I'm going to place it in an area which is not, high in forest resources. So it's time to add a factory and some warehouses. So I'm going to add a couple of smaller warehouses. Now I know I want the factory for making furniture, and I do know, because I've looked at it before, that I need to have paper and planed timber available for the factory. So there you go, I've set one of the small warehouses at paper. Going to add another warehouse in now. That's going to be for planed timber. So once again, they're all set to balance, so they're going to import if need be, or they're going to pick it up from the local forestry industry area, which I'm hoping they will do. Of course they will. So straight away trucks are going in, and I did notice one major issue. I made it a one-way road, so the trucks can go in, but they can never come out. So I don't do this normally, but I decided to give the warehouses different names. I thought it might be easier if I called them something like planed timber WH for warehouse, and paper WH. Might be easier to understand what they are rather than going into them, but I did that quickly. Also, I wanted to check to see that the storage mode was also set as balanced, and that they were actually getting materials in and storing them, so they would now be ready to be used in a factory that I want to place in the area. So it's time to add the furniture factory. We've got to wait for a bit of cash to come through first of all, but it does say in there that the furniture factory requires planed timber and paper special goods to manufacture their valued products. Anyway, I'm going to pop it here. I haven't fixed the one-way road yet. I will do shortly, but as you can see straight away, some trucks go banging into the factory, and hopefully it will start producing furniture. Although it won't be able to ship it anywhere because I've only got a one-way road and it only goes one way. Anyway, let's sort that out. Amazingly, as soon as the one-way road is connected back so everybody can get in and out, lorries are now flowing around the area at a very brisk speed, which is fantastic. I like the fact that the factory is nicely lit up hopefully is making goods, which it is. It's got plenty of plain timber, plenty of paper, and it is producing furniture. And I'm doing a good production value, which I'm quite happy with. That is a great factory to put in for those who want to create a forest industry, because it uses paper and plain timber. I smashed through to level 3. I've now had the ability to add a large log store. I've put that into the area where I've got my factories and small warehouses, because I do want to add one other factory that has become available to me. Overall, my forest industry is doing pretty well. I'm producing a relatively good amount of raw product, and I'm refining those fairly well into both paper and planed timber. I'm not far away now to get into level 4, which will give me some additional features, specifically processing factories. So the other factory I want to add in is the printing press. It requires paper and plastics. So I've got an abundance of paper. I've got a small warehouse nearby which is storing paper for me. Now as I check, you can see that I've got plenty of paper, but I've got no plastics, which means I'm going to have to import plastics, because I currently haven't got an industry that can produce plastics for me. It's time now for me to add another warehouse. I'm going to go for the medium size warehouse. I've got a bit of cash available, so let's plonk that down. Let's hook it up to some water and electricity. We want it to be balanced again, yep, and we want it to be plastics. I'm just going to check to see if there's roots. There isn't anything really showing on at the moment, but it's all going to come probably from external. For a quick recap, we have created an industry which was around the forestry. We've created an industry district which is specialising in forestry. We've also created a couple of factories which use the materials coming from that forestry industry, which is paper and planed timber. And we are of course creating furniture and printing. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, then please do subscribe, click the notification bell for future tutorials and other videos on Cities Skylines. Again, if you liked it, then please do click the like button and share, that would be great. Once again, thank you very much for watching. My name is Chris Farmer, and you've been watching me do a tutorial on industries, specifically around the forestry industry.